This week I'm going to document the building of a new shelf unit. It will hold a dozen storage boxes and 3 plastic drawers will hang on the side. Here's a photo of the finished product. I'm also going to talk about how I used Fusion 360 to design the shelf and print out the plans that were used to cut the wood. This is a first for me, as I usually would draw my own plans on graph paper and use that in the shop. Of course, I start with a sketch showing the basic dimensions and some rough ideas, which is needed in either case, as some time must be spent with a tape measure to get down all the details, like how large are the file boxes and how many can I stack before hitting the ceiling. I also wanted it to match the bookcase on the other side of the door. I've used Fusion for animations in the past, but how about a drawing? Oh yeah, this guy. Lars live to the rescue. It turns out creating a drawing complete with dimensions isn't too hard, so I did 2 of them just for the fun of it. Most of the parts of a shelf unit are the same size, and all the cuts are straight lines. Let's get started. Now the first thing I needed to find was a technique I'm comfortable with to cut all the dados. This is a good one and I have all the right tools. The dados will be about 3/4 of an inch wide and about half that deep. So a short 1/2 inch router bit and this brass 1/2 inch snap-in collar will do the trick. We're ready to go from CAD to real life. Rendering out images in Fusion 360 is easy, but to get them to match photographs you need to get the perspective right and you'll need to adjust the camera focal length. Find this under the render panel, select scene settings, camera, focal length. 37mm worked for me this time, but it's likely a different number will be required for different lenses and zooms and whatever else you have going on. I think it took me 3 or 4 tries to find this number. Since the unit was designed for all the router cuts to be virtually the same, I'll just show you one cut. This is the dado that will hold in the kick panel. That's the piece of wood under the first shelf that closes off the bottom and makes it look finished. The same wood that makes the shelf will also be used to make the templates. Just make sure you're using pieces with nice straight edges because the router bushing will be following them. I'm using wood clamps to make sure nothing moves during cutting. This is the inside of the back panel and the dados will hold the back of the shelves. Next are the right and left side panels. There's more cutting here as the sides will also hold the back panel. Notice how the shelf dados don't come all the way to the front. These are called blind dado joints and require small notches to be cut in the shelves. It's a bit of finicky work, but I like the result. Once all the wood is cut, we proceed with the dry fit. I did a bit of fine tuning with a sanding block. A small belt sander would have been nice too. And finally the glue up. I just barely had enough clamps to hold things together before hitting it with a brad nailer. There was some worry about the unit popping open, so too many nails were used, but it worked in the end. The last step was routing out the bottom to clear the floor trim. I used a 1.5 inch router bit. The pencil line is where the guide was clamped. And here we are, all cleaned up and in position. This turned out exactly as planned and I like it a lot. I started with Fusion 360 a year ago to make parts for my 3D printer, and now I'm using it for projects around the house. I'd like to thank all the YouTubers who posted tutorials and to the Autodesk tutorial staff who got my interest started.